Okay, so thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you today about what we do with our non-profit organization, which is called MyMachine. Let me introduce you to Matisse. Matisse is 6 years old, and we asked him and all his friends in his primary class, if we could build a dream machine for you, what would that machine do? And they said, well, could you please make us a machine that chases away the evil ghosts from under my bed, under their bed? And it's become this beautiful device that they call Spocker. And what Spocker does is actually giving them a status report, because there was another important feature they asked for, which is not only should the bad ghost, the evil ghost be gone, but also the good ones should stay and protect them during the night. So this Spocker device gives them a status report telling them which evil ghosts are gone and which good ones will stay during the night. And so they know then that they can go to sleep safe and sound. So that is the question that we ask children in primary class in step number 1 of our methodology. In step number 2, university students step in and they help translate the idea into a concept. And in step number 3, technical secondary or vocational secondary school students step in to help build an actual working prototype. So in one school year, we go from idea to concept to working prototype, and we do this with lots of schools at the same time. For example, to build the Shake Awake. Children were fed up with the dreadful noise of the alarm clock in the morning. So what happens here is you set your clock, but instead of having a dreadful noise in the morning, it's the whole bed that starts shaking. So there's no more excuse of getting late to school, because I can assure you, you are awake when the whole bed starts shaking. Or children wanted a stair slide. They wanted a machine that could, a device, a product that could help transform any staircase into a slide. And it has become this beautiful stair slide with these different modules. You put one on top of the other and you create your slide. Or there were these children that asked a machine to give them superpowers. And of course, we always ask not just what dream machine do you want to build, but also why do you want to build it? What's the story behind it? And here, so we asked, like, what kind of superpowers are you thinking of? And they said, well, it's just, you know, we want to become a ballerina. And so this has become this beautiful device where you would stand on this blue platform and you see the children here turning this wheel. So while they're turning this wheel, the blue platform is turning around. And so when you're on the platform, you're actually turning around as a ballerina, and the tutu is actually going up as you turn around. It's a fantastic machine. I've been on it, so I can proudly say that for those couple of minutes in my life, I have been a ballerina, and it was a fantastic experience. Or I assume this is an issue also in your country where you live, is that if you have a bunk bed, you know, a bunk bed is a type of bed where somebody can sleep on top and somebody else can sleep below you. Now, I bet that also in your country, there is immediately a discussion starting on who gets to sleep on top. Everybody wants to sleep on top and doesn't want to sleep below. And so these children came up with the solution, and they created a rotating or a turning bunk bed. So it keeps on rotating, it keeps on turning. So you never have to discuss anymore who gets to sleep on top or who gets to sleep below, because you're constantly turning. Now, why MyMachine? Why do we do this? You know, what is it for? And the thing is, with MyMachine, we want to show all students, and if I say students, again, this is about primary school students, secondary level school students, and university students. We want to show students that having ideas is fun, that having ideas is also important, and that you should never be afraid to share your idea. Even though your ideas might sound strange to somebody else's ear, never be afraid to share it, because we also show that you can actually bring any idea to life. And how can you do that? by collaborating, by respecting each other's talent, by being persistent when necessary, by being resilient when necessary. And most importantly, also by not judging an idea right away. If you're a child, then I'm going to tell you one of the things that adults do, and which is not good, which is that most adults will judge an idea within a couple of seconds. You would express your idea and adults will immediately say to you, oh, that's not possible. And they're thinking about all kinds of reasons why it's not possible. They will tell you it's going to be too expensive to build. We're not going to be able to make the deadline. Or if adults that express an idea in a company and other people will say, well, the customer will not be willing to pay for this. There's legislation that refrains us from building this product or service or whatever it is. Typically, you will get all the reasons why your idea will not work. You will get all those reasons within 30 seconds after expressing your idea to other people, especially to adults. And that is wrong. So we want to show the world, both adults and children, do not judge an idea within 30 seconds. Allow your idea the time to grow. And what it means is that allow to think about your idea and to look for the angle in which you can actually, if you find the right angle, you'll be able to make and to build your dream machine. For example, in the past, because MyMachine is running already for a couple of years, there have been children inventing a jump to the moon machine. Many adults will say, jump to the moon machine, that's impossible. You cannot jump to the moon. Well, we built a jump to the moon machine. So we did make it. When we looked for the angle to actually build this dream machine. So that is why we created MyMachine. It's about building what we call creative confidence, to show the students that that your ideas matter, that your ideas can make a difference. And no matter where life will take you later on, if you want to become a dancer, if you want to become an artist, if you want to become a product designer, an engineer, an architect, create your own company, create your own non-profit organization, go work for the government. It doesn't matter. Wherever life takes you, it's all going to be about having this confidence that your ideas actually matter and that your ideas actually can make a difference. So confide in your ideas, trust them, and give them the time, allow them to, the time to grow, and you will find an angle together with other people. You will find the angle to create it, to make your dream come true, to make your idea come true. It might be a different dance performance. It might be a different type of art. It might be a different kind of building that you're building. Whatever it is, it's about creative confidence. And so believe in your own ideas. That's what MyMachine is all about. And MyMachine, of course, is a unique intergenerational collaboration of all educational levels. There is still not any other organization out there that does the same, which is uniting primary school children with secondary level school students, with university level students that collaborate as peers. Because I talked about step 1, step 2, step 3. Those are not divided steps. It really is, getting together of those people of different age groups, and they actually co-create and work on these, on bringing those ideas to life. They work on it together in all stages. Now, when we started MyMachine, we were lucky that pretty early on in our existence, we were awarded the World Summit Award by United Nations. And United Nations invited us on a World Summit of theirs, which was back in the days in Mexico. And we could present MyMachine to, I think there were, if I recall well, 89 delegations of 89 countries were there. And many of those people were saying, well, the reasons you're doing it By the way, I am based in Belgium, which is in Europe. And they said the reasons you're doing it in Belgium, because of creativity, creative confidence, because of entrepreneurial skills, other people call it 21st century skills that we're building with the students. It's an example of project-based learning. It's an example of maker-centered learning. It's empathy design. It's co-creation. It's open education. It's all of that. The reasons you're doing it, we have the same challenges in our country. So could you bring your model to our country? And we were not prepared for that because we just did MyMachine. We created MyMachine and we ran it with lots of schools back then already in Belgium. But then there was this opportunity to try to think how to bring this model outside of Belgium. And so in the end, after consulting other organizations around the world that had done the same, start locally and grew internationally, we asked them about how they did it and so on. And then in the end, we decided to franchise our model. Some people call it social franchising because we are a non-profit organization. And so what we do is we look for local partners that want to set up this specific collaboration between primary, secondary, and university level in their own country or region. And then, of course, after the contract is signed, then we give them the templates. We give them what we call it's train the trainer. We train them what we call the local MyMachine coordinator, and it's this person, the local MyMachine coordinator, that then sets up this collaboration between primary, secondary, and higher education. So as we speak, we are very proud to say that we have now 11 chapters up and running. The latest in this year, 2021, so far has been exceptional. We've been able to add 4 new countries, 4 new chapters, 4 new contracts that we signed. One is Croatia, the second is Spain, the third is United States of America, and the fourth is Mexico. And so adding up to the existing chapters, which are in Norway, Slovenia, Slovakia, Portugal, Belgium, and South Africa. And of course, we still want to grow. So we are still looking for partners that are interested in bringing the model to their region or country. Now, this slide mentions 22 countries. Because we also reach out to schools outside of the countries where we have a chapter, and I'll come back to that later on how we do that. Of course, we create impact. That's the most important thing why we exist. We want to create impact first with students, second with educators, and third with companies and the broad society as a whole. A couple of examples. This is Arne, and Arne joined with his primary class, MyMachine. You can see him here when he was 11, 12 years old, something like that. This is in Belgium, this means you're in 6th grade, and it's also the final year of primary school in Belgium. And here you can see 2 university students. So the university students go inside the primary class and help the children with the ideation of what is your dream machine. And Arne said, this moment when I was 12 years old was when those students came into my classroom for MyMachine. It was a eye-opening moment to me, because that's when I realized, wow, this is something you can do later on in life. You can create product ideas, service ideas. You can become an engineer or a product designer or a game designer. And he said, that's what I want to do. And he made that decision. At the age of 12, he made that decision because of this experience. And yes, this is the same boy 6 years later down the road. He's 18 now, and he enrolled at the university to become a product designer, an engineer product designer. And that is a decision he made when he was 12 because of MyMachine. And actually, he joined the MyMachine for the second time in his life, as his university joined the program as well. And he could be, of course, then in the role of university students joining MyMachine again. This is Magali. Magali was part of MyMachine as when she was a university student. And she said, well, I got my job thanks to MyMachine, because the company that hired me knew about MyMachine and said, well, if you're capable of doing a challenge like MyMachine, then you are most certainly the woman for the job. And the company she works for is actually building stages, for example, for artists that go on a world tour, artists that play music, musicians. And And for example, she's been working for quite some big names, to be honest. The Rolling Stones, Muse, Coldplay, Madonna. And she said those production teams come up with the craziest ideas of this, how these stages should look like. And we have to be able to build those stages and make sure that they can also fall back into trucks, because those trucks need then to drive from city to city so that this artist can perform in all of those cities around the world. And so she said, you know, translating those crazy ideas from those production companies into you know, things, you know, stages that we can build. She says, my job, I call it MyMachine extra large. It's, I learned the skills how to do that. I learned not to freak out and not to panic with all the demands that they're asking, knowing that, okay, if I give it time, we'll get there. And this is, for example, this is a university professor. He's called Ronald, and Ronald says, MyMachine for my students is, university students, is a perfect way to learn their future jobs, because they have to learn to listen to the customer. The customer here is the young child asking for a dream machine, using their own knowledge and to translate what the customer wants, and taking into account the production facility. This means they need to know upfront which technical school is involved, what's the complexity level that they can handle. Is it can they work with wood or with metal or with electronics? And so these constraints is just the same as in their future jobs. And of course, MyMachine has deadlines, MyMachine has budget restraints, just like in their future jobs. And I have to say, everywhere MyMachine starts, it gets a lot of media attention. And I think it's because MyMachine is something positive. It's about young children, young students working together on dreams, on dream machines, building them together. And I think besides all of the, you know, lots of negative news that we have out there, MyMachine brings something positive. Now, being mindful of the time, I'll be very quick to say, sorry, what is the bigger picture? Two things I want to touch upon. One is that we have the fourth industrial revolution all around us. It's about artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, everything. The world is changing a lot. And every time at the end of a MyMachine cycle, we also organize an exhibition where we showcase everything. And it's a please do touch exhibition. And we also have then an event together with the exhibition where we talk about education and everything that is important concerning the link between education and society. And this is one of those pictures where we invited Mr. Tom van der Ark. He is one of the leading voices of education in the United States. And he showed us that by 2027, the majority of the workforce in America is going to be working in freelance jobs. So what it means is you'll be in a temporary team. Temporary could be 6 months, could be 2 years, but it's temporary, but you still have to deliver. Just like in MyMachine. MyMachine is a temporary team of young people that have to deliver. Here you can see where is the growth of jobs in the past 25 years, both cognitive and manual jobs. The growth of the job has been in non-repetitive jobs. And this is just like MyMachine. Nobody on the planet has built a rotating bunk bed, but the students in MyMachine did. And so that's non-repetitive. And the second thing I want to say is that the education system as we know it was built more than 100 years ago, and it's a bit outdated. We know this because of this gentleman, Sir Ken Robinson. I do advise to, if you haven't heard of him, do go see his TED Talk, The School of Creativity. He explains it a lot. And so that's why MyMachine is a free haven inside the education system, where we do want to collaborate between the three levels of education, working on creativity, working on project-based learning. And MyMachine is joy and wonder. It puts wonder central into the education. It really helps explaining why do you need it? Why is it, you know, what all this mathematics, what is it for? All this physics, what is it for? Well, the moment, if I stick with the example of the rotating bunk bed, if you actually start building it, you have to talk about mathematics and physics, talk about the engine. What kind of power do you need? What is going to be the power source for the engine to be able to make it rotating and stuff like that? And so, for example, to also build the Fry's shooting machine, which was a brilliant example also of what young children wanted to do. I want to finish, because I see that I have 1 more minute to go. I want to finish with this. This is something new that we started not that long ago. We call it MyMachine Dreams Job, and what it is actually it's a world map online where anybody can upload their dream machine. Adults, young people, doesn't matter, and it will upload your dream machine at your location. If you're based in Vietnam, it will post it on Vietnam. And what we then do, we also run a campaign targeting primary school teachers around the world to join with their class. And the primary school teachers get some templates from us on how to do this ideation. And then the primary school teachers upload the dream machine ideas from the children in their students in their class, in their class. And then we pick some of those ideas and we connect them to university students in other countries. And this is an example of Isabella. She was 8, from Mexico, who invented robot Emotion. It's about a conversation starter that she wanted for children to talk about their emotions. And she made a drawing of 5 emotions. And this is what university students build, a beautiful small kind of robot. And you can push the handle here on top. And when you turn it around, it changes emotions. So the face changes, and it changes to the 5 emotions that Isabella asked for. And so you can set your emotion, and then that will be the conversation starter. So that is MyMachine. This is the world map. You can see that we've collected thousands and thousands of ideas from around the world. And so you can find it on our website and join and upload your dream machine to the world map. So thank you so much for listening to the story of MyMachine. And here is, if you want to reach out, this is how you can do this. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you so much, Piet, for sharing. So yeah, if earlier, I guess you mentioned about local partners, right? So for the local partners itself, if they want to join MyMachine, is there any special requirements, or is there anything that they need to do? Maybe you can share a bit about it.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to start a local chapter, what they should do is contact me, and then we'll start a conversation about that and guide them step by step into the process on what is expected and how they can set it up. And then in the end, it ends with signing a contract that will take this chapter, as we call it, MyMachine chapter, we will create that chapter with that partner in that country. So the first step is to reach out to me, and then we'll start the conversation and go there step by step.
Okay. Yeah. So also earlier you also mentioned that you did a lot of collaborative work with schools as well. So the MyMachine doing projects with schools. So maybe you can share a bit the challenging things when it comes to having collaboration with not only schools, but also other partners in, let's say, problem-based learning or another.
Well, in my experience, I've been fortunate to meet a lot of educators so far in different countries and visit schools. And there's 2 things I want to say about that. One is that in many countries, there are new types of schools popping up, which is great. And I'm talking about now focusing more on primary schools and secondary level schools. Really new types of schools out there that doing things differently because it's, as Sir Ken Robinson showed us, our education system is outdated around the world, and it really should get an update. And so some people create a totally new type of school, which is a totally different type of school than many of us can imagine. And I love those new types of schools, and they're doing a great job. And each of them has their specific angle on how it's different from any other regular school that we know. Now, having said that, the second thing I want to say is that I never believe in one model fits all. One model fits all does not work in mobility. It's not working in art. It's not working, it's certainly not working in education as well. So I do believe that we need different. The most ideal education system, in my opinion, has very different types of schools, so that we all as human beings, we all are unique, and maybe this one particular school works very good for me, but not this other also great working school, but it won't match what I would expect or how I want to learn or am able to learn. So we need different types of schools. And the third thing I want to say is that despite all of those new schools that I see popping up, the reality is that the vast majority of students around the world are still in very traditional schools, or let's say schools that are trapped in a very traditional education system that does not allow them a lot of freedom, that does not allow them to do things differently. And we see this, that we collaborate with so many extraordinary educators and that say, like, we do want to do stuff differently in our classroom, but sometimes it's a principle or it's the education system in a country that prohibits them to really go beyond what's regular in their education system. So that is why we still need to work also from top down. Top down is meaning that talking to ministers and principals on how they can allow things to be run differently, but also we need bottom up, and MyMachine tries to be the bottom up example, showing to educators and to principals and to ministers of education that if you allow a school, if you allow a teacher to have some time, let's say, I don't know what to say, is it half a day a week, just as an example, to work on project-based learning. And then that teacher can decide for themselves what kind of project. It doesn't have to be MyMachine, of course. There's many other examples out there. But if they would allow a teacher to work on project-based learning, and then the teacher can choose what kind of project are we going to do. But I'm very much convinced that project-based learning, some people call it maker-centered learning, but doesn't matter. Project-based learning is, in my opinion, a very good instrument, a very good methodology to bring new stuff, to bring some innovation in the education system, and most of all, to bring purpose to education, so that young children understand what is it for, why do I need all this mathematics, what is it for, this physics, why do I need to know about history. And I think that brings purpose to all of the knowledge that they need to build, because knowledge building, of course, is also still is, of course, very much important, but it's to bring purpose to that knowledge.
Okay, thank you so much. You're so lucky to meet many profiles of school that you're working with. It means it will help you and MyMachine getting richer and richer in these profiles. So all the best for MyMachines. Thank you so much, Piet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me in this great event. I love it a lot.
Thank you so much, Piet.
Stay safe.